Hey everyone, Michelle here, personal trainer and lifestyle coach. Today we are here to talk about our April 2024 theme of the month, Everybody Poops. Now, last month we started with probably a little bit easier subject number 1, but this month we are talking about number 2, poo. Now, I know that can be a little bit of an uncomfortable subject for some people, but it is important to understand that what we're putting into our bodies and what's coming out the other end is a really important digestive process that we should be paying attention to. So, when was the last time that you analyzed your bowel movements? So first we should talk about what healthy stool looks like. Now, we used to have a stool chart up in the gym that I used to work at. And even though that might be a little unpleasant for some people, it was a really great tool in order to be able to look at what your stool should look like. So it's called the Bristol Stool Chart, and essentially it shows different sizes, shapes, and consistencies, and what each of those might mean in terms of your diet. So this is a really great tool because the color makes a difference, the size makes a difference, and the consistency. Each of those is described on one of the resources that I threw below. So if you want to take a look and see if there are any digestive processes that you might be curious about, they will be described in that website. Really great resource. So then the other thing that we should talk about is frequency. Now, some people, it's going to be different for everyone, might go to the bathroom a couple times a day, several times a day, and some people might go every other day or so, but the average is about 1.7 times a day, and there should be a consistency, not necessarily in time of day, maybe if you're really consistent about your eating schedule, but in terms of how often you are going. Another important thing to think about is gut transit time. So your gut transit time is basically the time that it takes from your food to go in your mouth through the other end. So if it's anything faster than 14 hours, that's a little too quick. And if it's anything more than 58 hours, that's a little bit too slow. The average being about 24 to 48 hours. Now you can tell sometimes if you were to eat something specific, so corn we know doesn't always break down very well. If you ate a bunch of blueberries, then your poo would probably come out blue and stuff like that. There is a blue muffin challenge as well that the British and American Gut Project both put together in order to be able to figure out what your gut transit time is. But we're aiming for that 24 to 48 hours. Now, one of the things that they found was the most consistent in terms of the people that had an average gut transit time was high fiber diet. So we want to make sure that what we're taking in is making a difference, not only on our digestive processes, but again, what's coming out the other end. So a couple of the recommendations is to goal for about 30 plants per week, and diversity is key. So your gut microbiome has a bunch of microorganisms in it, and each of those microorganisms likes different types of plants. So the more diverse your diet is, the happier your gut microbiome is going to be, and that's where we produce a lot of really great neurotransmitters, such as dopamine and serotonin. So it can affect your mood, it can affect your hormones, it can affect the inflammation in your body. And so the goal is to just create a diverse diet and to be able to eat a ton of different plants. Fermented foods were also another key ingredient in terms of creating this diverse microbiome. So really try to emphasize, if you can, some fermented foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, and stuff like that, because that's really going to help with this gut microbiome diversity as well. Now, some factors outside of your diet that may also affect your gut microbiome include drinking water, staying hydrated, which we've been working on this last month, stress levels, eating on a schedule, and getting regular exercise. So these are also things that we should consider in order to make sure that our guts are healthy. So now that we've got an idea of what healthy stool looks like and how to diversify our gut microbiome, we want to make sure that we keep a couple things in mind. Everyone is different. One diet for one person may or may not work for another person. It is important to also start with foods that you enjoy and then try to diversify from there. So again, our goal is about 30 different types of plants, but think about herbs, think about spices. Technically, you could even probably count coffee, right? Anything that we can put in there is a really great way to be able to feed those microorganisms in our body. And then the last piece is make sure that the changes are gradual. Your body needs time to adapt, so if you go from an ultra-processed diet to a high-fiber vegetable diet right away, it's probably going to cause some gastrointestinal distress. So it does need to be a gradual and slow transition, but once you start to see those changes, you're going to want to continue to diversify your intake as well. So just keep in mind that it should be low and slow, continue to make small incremental changes that seem like they're sustainable. We know that that's always the key when it comes to dietary changes is sustainability. So it should be things that you can do long term. Now keep in mind there are such things still as food sensitivities or even allergies. So for some people, some foods might be off the table. But generally speaking, the more diverse that we can make your diet, the better. And again, remember that these should be plant-based foods. Whole grains, nuts, legumes, beans, any of those things can be included. So this month, we're just considering what am I doing to diversify my gut microbiome and how is it affecting the health of my poop. I'm so excited to hear from you guys. Let me know if you have any questions and I will include some resources below. Thanks so much.